house sales aren't based on what the seller needs. It's only based on the market demand and what the market says that the particular property is worth. So in this video, I'm going to give you 18 tips on how to get the best price for your house, how to market it, and how to choose the right agent. Hello, I'm Mark Bamig with Michael Saunders & Company. I'm a local real estate agent here in Sarasota on Florida's Gulf Coast. But this channel is all about anyone that wants to buy or sell property anywhere. It doesn't matter whether you're here in Florida or if you're in California or if you're in Japan. Basic things work the same no matter where you are. So let's start with this. The first thing I suggest is finding the best agent for your area. So when you go and start to search out an agent, we're going to interview agents here and you're going to be able to see them and get to know them and see if they're a right fit for you. But the agent has got to be updated on what the market conditions are for their particular market. They need to know what the days on market are. They need to know what the list price to sell price ratio is. And they also need to know the communities that you're interested in so that they know if there's any proposed changes for those communities, if there's any building that's going to be going on around in the area. So choosing the right agent, I would say, is the number one critical thing that you need to make sure that you get the right person to help you buy or sell property. The second thing you need to pay attention to is we now have new rules that were put into place at the end of 2024, and it was a deal between National Association of Realtors and the Department of Justice. No longer can you put what the agent's compensation is for the buy side of the transaction in the MLS. Now you can put it on public websites, you can advertise it in the social media platforms, which a lot of agents are now doing, but that means that when you sit down to take a listing and when you are talking to someone about listing your house, they're going to ask you two questions. Can you pay our fee of X, and are you willing to offer a fee to the other side of X to be able to bring buyers to the transaction? No longer is it a requirement for the seller to pay the buy side of the transaction, but I do caution you, when we have a lot of inventory and there are plenty of houses that are on the market and a lot of the sellers are offering that compensation, do you want to be in the pool that's offering compensation or in the pool that's not offering compensation? So that's going to be a difficult decision for you when you're talking to your agent about what they recommend you do to get your house sold for the highest price in the shortest amount of time. So what are the professionals saying about sales forecast for 2025? Well, I think it's going to be in the territory that you actually live in. I've been talking with agents in New York and New Jersey, and their houses are not staying in the market for very long periods of time at all, 2 to 3 weeks maximum. When you come down to our area of Florida, our days on market has increased. So that's putting downward pressure on the pricing because you have a lot to choose from. So therefore, the sellers have to be a little bit more aggressive when it comes to pricing their house. This is not 2022. We're in a totally different market from when the pandemic was here, and we couldn't keep houses on the market. Our average days on market at that time was about 3, and now we're up to about 80. What about mortgage rates? Well, if Gen Z is going to be our next biggest target of people that are buying houses, they're going to need a mortgage. Right now, as of today, mortgage rates are about 6.6% nationwide. So that has a big effect on how much property someone can purchase. So from a seller standpoint, you got to think about it from 3 years ago when they could borrow money at 3%. They can't afford as much house now that they're having to borrow at over 6%. So interest rates has a big factor to do with affordability for people that are getting a mortgage. So when you talk to your agent about your house, you need to think about what the design trends are. You want to keep a neutral palette. You don't want any really bright walls. You want calm, cool colors to make the palette very neutral so that it appeals to a wider number of buyers. So think about that when you're about to put your house on the market. What does the interior look like? And is it something that is going to appeal to a broad range of people? There's a saying in the industry, the one with the highest need has the lowest power. So when you put your house on the market, you have to try not to be too emotionally attached to the outcome, because that's when you're going to be most disappointed. Now, we do have a lot of houses that are going on the market, they're getting under contract, and then those contracts fall apart for one reason or another. So just make sure that you understand that that factor could possibly happen during the process of getting your home sold. So here in Florida, we recommend getting a pre-home inspection so that you're only negotiating the contract one time, and that's when you make the original offer price and get that established up front, because then they're going to come back and do an inspection, and if there's lots of things to be taken care of, then you're going to have to go back and make those repairs, put the extra money into it, and hire licensed contractors to get those things done. If you go ahead and get that done ahead of time, if you're capable of making those adjustments and repairs, then those probably won't come up on the inspection report, so therefore it's much easier to navigate that part of the process. One of the other things that your agent is going to guide you on is how long is your home expected to be on the market? Are you in a hurry? Well, 80 days is about the trend across a lot of the United States. Now, like I mentioned before, New York, New Jersey, maybe even up into Pennsylvania is not that long of days on market. They're going a little bit quicker, but in a majority of places around the rest of the country, you can plan on about 80 days before your house goes under contract. Another thing you need to be aware of is the feedback when clients come in to see your house. The prospective buyers are going to come in. The agents usually request to get a feedback so that they know what the clients feel about the house. Maybe there's a slight odor that they pick up on and you're so used to it you don't even pay it any attention anymore. So things like that can be very helpful when it comes time to make some adjustments, whether it's in the price, maybe it's in the decor, maybe it's in the paint scheme, colors, something like that, but pay attention to what the feedback is. Now, our rule of thumb is here that if you put your house on the market and in the first 2 weeks you don't have any showings, your price is probably too high. If you have showings but no offers, it's probably just a little high. So some adjustment is going to need to be made, because in the first 4 weeks, no matter where the house is, that's when you get your most activity from the internet, from people searching for homes. After the 4 weeks, it starts to tail off and you get fewer and fewer and fewer views, and then you're starting to reduce your price and trying to catch up, and that's not a good position to be in. It's very difficult to get those viewers to come back and to see the price that you now have it at, which may have been what it should have been listed from the beginning. When it comes to the interior of your home, simplicity is best. It's best to declutter. It's best to not have too heavy furniture in the pathway of a natural walking pathway inside the house. So just think about this. If you're going to sell the house and you're going to have to move the furniture, it might be best to go ahead and move it out first, even if you have to put it into a garage or a separate storage unit. But you want to make the house as open and decluttered as possible, especially when it comes to your kitchen countertops, the bathroom countertops. You want all of the excess materials that we use in our everyday lives to be cleaned off of those surfaces so that it shows sparkling clean. Most of today's houses come with some type of smart devices, so you want to think about that when you are selling your home. Is that something that you're going to leave at the home? Is it something that you're going to pass on to the buyers and then just get new when you move on to your new house? So those are some of the things that you really need to pay close attention to and have a good conversation with your listing agent about what is going to convey with the house when it gets sold. It's not a good time to have that conversation after you get it under contract and they assume something is staying and you assume something is leaving. When it comes to the hardware trends and the things that are in your house and your cabinets and your pulls and your drawers, it's better to go with the classic trends rather than trying to go with the flavor of the month or the year, like all the gold accents. It's better to go with the traditional timeless pieces, because that's going to appeal to the largest number of buyers. So you know when you go into a house and you go into somebody's closet and everything is neat and organized as if they were kind of in the military? Well, that gives a great signal to the buyers that the house is well taken care of. So if you think about it, if everything is neat and organized in your closets, it typically flows through the rest of the house that way. Even when you go into the breaker box in the garage, if that's where your breakers are for the house, and every one of them is labeled for easy access of what is the AC and what is the hot water heater. Those kind of things show that you've taken care of the property and that it is ready for the buyers. You also want to try and remove any personal effects that are in the house. The pictures with all the kids and the grandkids. Typically, it's very difficult for someone seeing themselves living in a house when you have all of your personal photos that are distributed throughout the house. So I would minimize those as much as possible and make it very neutral. The same with pictures. If you have a lot of framed artwork, it's usually best to keep that as neutral as possible. There's nothing wrong with a pop of color, but overdoing it can also have the adverse effect. So I hope you got value out of this video. We're going to be putting on a lot more videos about how to get people into and out of properties all across the United States. And then we're also going to have interviews with agents that are in different segments of the market so you can meet these agents and be connected to them. Mark Boehmig, Michael Saunders and Company.